So that last one came out a couple of days later than I was expecting, and I do apologize for that. As I explained in my vlog a couple of days ago, just work. You know, to spend a couple of hours editing a video just makes it so difficult when I've only got a few hours in the middle of the day. And generally speaking, half the time I just want to spend that time sleeping. So it's hard to motivate to sit down for 2 hours in front of my computer when I just want to have a nap. But that said, I got it done. And I am eager to build that thing. But I think I'm more eager to take a look at the one we're going to take a look at today. And I'm probably going to build it first before I ever get around to the Super Messiah. As much as I'm eager to try out those armor parts and to compare it to the base model Messiah that I built a couple months ago. Anyway, so we are going to take a look at the VF-31. This is the Hayate Immelmann use version of this aircraft, the VF-31J Siegfried, as well as the super parts pack for that aircraft. Now, I don't know anything about Macross Delta except what a couple of people I follow on Twitter have said, and that being that it's generally not super well regarded. But, you know, I'd like to give it a try if I could ever find it to watch. Same with Frontier, same with Macross 7, same with all the Macross shows. I mean, I'd love to give them a try. I just don't know where to get my hands on them. But yeah, like these mecha designs, they just are super cool. As far as I know, they're still being... The primary mecha design is still being done by Shoji Kawamori, dating all the way back to the original series. As far as I know, he is the primary mecha designer for Macross, even to this day. And with every new series, he seems to outdo himself. And I'm really eager to take a look at this one because it seems to emulate the YF-19, which, as I've said, is my favorite variable fighter, and in fact my favorite aircraft from science fiction. So enough of that. Let's crack her open. So the original release of the VF-31 was just the base model aircraft, but the super parts pack was released at a later date. There has since been a combined release, I believe. You can get the similar to the Super Messiah, you can get the aircraft and the super parts together, but we're going to take a look at them separately. Starting with the base aircraft. She is a beaut. Yeah. You can see kind of the forward canted delta wing, or forward swept wing, kind of resembles the YF-19 quite a lot. In the overall silhouette, it really has a striking similarity. And from what you can see of the Batroid mode, it even looks like it has a similar kind of proportion and feel to it as well. No shot of it in gearwalk mode, which is kind of a surprise. I'm guessing this must be Hayate Immelmann, and this must be the pop idol from the series, who is probably his girlfriend, because that's always the way those shows work. Box side, yeah, you can get a better look at the kind of silhouette of the aircraft there, resembling the YF-19. You got your gearwalk mode and your Batroid mode, and some action shots of the completed model. Starting with some joint parts. These are molded in ABS. Copyright date 2016, so these are very new. Some universal joint hinges, some clips and snaps, some flaps. Guessing most of these are probably for the nose cone assembly, and maybe like some hip parts, flaps that cover some of the hip parts or something. Not really any detail to speak of on any of these. These are just purely structural. Some more joint parts. I'm guessing these would probably take a metal pin hinge. Looks like I see a couple of colored baggies in here. Look like they would take some have some metal pins in them. This might be like for the elbows, more just joint parts for various assemblies. Hey look, it's a metal pin. What did I say? I would guess probably for a hip or a torso assembly. If it's anything like the last one, there's probably 5 of them total. 2 for the hips, 1 for the torso, and 1 each for a couple of, or not for the hips, 2 for the wings, 2 for the stabilizers, and 1 for somewhere in the torso. We got some mechanical parts. This probably would be a frame for the back. We got 2 different cockpit parts, a single-seater and a dual-seater. Much like the last one, the pilot's lower half is molded into the pilot seat, and the front seat clearly would be Immelmann. The rear seat looks kind of feminine. I'm guessing that's probably the Pop Idol character from the front of the box. I don't see their upper halves anywhere on this runner, so they must be on a different one. We got our front landing gear, got a couple of missiles maybe. We got our hand sets. Got your standard open hands, you got your grasping hands, you got your transformed mode hands, which are a little more well defined and not as super deformed as the YF-25 or the VF-25 was, and in fact are separate pieces instead of a single part that holds the 2 arms together. Couple of army knife blades. Always puzzled me why these big mecha would come with, you know, combat knives. Always struck me as a little silly. They got a little clip. This would probably be the hand grip. So yeah, the blade would fold away and stash somewhere, probably in a sheath in the arm or in the hip. Probably maybe weapon parts. Not really sure. But they would fit together, I would guess, to form a... these 2 here would probably be like part of the rifle or possibly some sort of internal structural part. A lot of other joint parts, probably ankle parts here, like a slider to extend the foot out from inside the leg. Shoulders, I would guess. Yeah. Detailing all looks really nice. Got some neat etching on there, and the detail actually in the pilot seat looks pretty cool. See if you can get a focus on that. Yeah, that would respond pretty well to a little bit of dry brushing. It's not super detailed or anything, you know, this isn't on the level of like a Hasegawa or a Tamiya kit, but it looks pretty neat. More mechanical parts. I'm going to assume these are the legs, your knees, probably the thighs, at least part of the thighs, I would guess. Your feet inserts, hip joints, more feet insert parts, various detail parts all over, a lot of joint bits and pieces. This would be an action base adapter. I'm guessing this would be for fighter mode. So like the other one, the gun pod would fit through this little slot, plugs into an action base, and then slots into the top. This would be, I would guess, for Batroid mode, so it would slot into the waist on the underside and then peg into an action base. Otherwise, just a lot of other joint parts. Not much in the way of detail to really speak of. And finally getting into something with a little bit of color. I'm really liking this blue. This is a really rich shade of blue, and I really dig it. Fuselage parts, and there's some nice panel lining in there. It's not, again, it's not as fine as you might find on like a Hasegawa kit, but it looks really good. You know, there's no rivet detail or anything, but it's still some nice, gives it some depth. With a little bit of a wash, it would look really cool. So I'm guessing these would be the wing roots, and then this would be the upper torso and kind of the fuselage directly behind the nose cone. Jet intakes, maybe? This would be the top of the head. You got your feet, Probably some nose cone parts. I'm guessing this would be for the dual seater and this for the single seat version, maybe. Um, that'd be my best guess. Yeah, in fact, they are the same exact piece. They are identical to each other. 6 for both of them, so might be possible if you insert the cockpit tub in the underside, then you can just hot swap them whenever you want. But there is only a single canopy. You got your your canopy, the windscreen, eyepiece for the head, some clear parts in pink. It's an interesting choice. Yeah, there's always like these sensor pieces on the nose cone. They're usually molded in clear, like in colorless clear, so it's interesting that they'd be molded in pink. Yeah, but yeah, the overall like detail and engineering looks really neat. More pins. Only 3 more. It doesn't look like there's another baggie with more pins, so I'm not sure how these are going to work out. I'm guessing there's probably a couple of adjustable stabilizers in there someplace, but what the third one would be for, I'm not really sure. But they are all the same size, so curious. And some more of the meat of this thing. Landing gear bays, maybe? A lot of mechanical layered detail in here. Like each one of these panels look like it could be a hatch or something that has to be opened up. Very, very interesting. Some stabilizers, and they actually have built-in fins, so these would not actually take pins like I expected they would. We got more of the nose cone housing, so yeah, I'm guessing that cockpit piece just drops in here. You can swap it out with 2-seater whenever you want. Or in fact, no, there's there's 2 of these. There's oh, this one is labeled as part 10. This one was labeled as part 13, so they are a little different. So that's curious. I don't see any actual difference between... Oh, they're symmetrical. That's... Okay, yeah, this one has twin rails on this side. It has twin rails on this side. Huh, that's interesting. I'm going to have to study the instructions and figure out what the story is with that. Because, yeah, those other inserts, I guess they sit on top and they're identical. But each of the tubs must be designed to only slot into a specific one of these. So this whole assembly is probably swappable. You got more hip parts. This would be where the hips would plug in at the waist. I'm guessing ankle armors. Yeah, it's got some, fairly simple panel detail here and there. Some panel lines to denote the rudders and whatnot. But yeah, overall, looks good. Okay, the plot with the cockpit thickens, because here we've got another, evidently another cockpit part. So, yeah, I'm really going to have to study those instructions and figure out just how in the hell this worked, because I don't get it. It's very perplexing. There seems to be more cockpit parts than there are room for them. But I could have just misidentified those other pieces. Those might have been for, like, the hips or the arms or somewhere else on the fuselage. Assembly parts for the transformable nose cone. I'm guessing this is the front landing gear bay. Part of the shoulder-mounted weapon. It's got a weird weapon deck. Like, it's got the gun pod, but then there's a weapon deck that like fits over the shoulder, and then another weapon that mounts on the left arm. Like, this thing is very well armed from all appearances. But yeah, this thing must be... I'm guessing this is a sensor that attaches to the cannon that mounts over the shoulder. It's a very odd design. But yeah, more fins and more stuff with detail parts, armor parts for the backs of the hands. Maybe a kneecap? Looks like it'd be a kneecap kind of a piece. Just a lot of other joint parts. This whole corner here looks like it's for that weapon, that over the shoulder weapon. I'm gonna be honest, I thought Bandai had stopped using this shade of gray a long time ago. I never liked it when it was their go-to mechanical gray in the
early 2000s, and I'm not super fond of it now. Admittedly, it's a little more neutral. Back then I think it was had a kind of a purplish hue to it, but this is still, it's a very bland gray, and I don't really like it. But got some wing root parts. I'm guessing these go on the underside. Probably some weapon components, maybe some hip parts or parts for like the legs. This would be part of the back, I guess. More stuff for the back and fuselage, and the frame for the head. And a lot of weird joint parts for the transformation. And some last mechanical bits and pieces. I think this is the first time I've seen ABS molded in blue. So that's kind of interesting. Just a lot of joint parts. Guessing these would flank the nose cone. And the rest of it's just transformation stuff. Probably the shoulder joints. Maybe collars for the wrists. Not really sure. Yeah, there's some venting detail on here. It's, I don't know, it's a little bit, it could have used like some cross hatching or something in there to really sell it as some venting. But otherwise looks fine. And last up for mechanical parts, that beautiful gold I remarked on with the last kit. These are ankle parts. They seem to use that a lot for engine related stuff. So yeah, this metallic gold is just so gorgeous. I love it. Just the way it catches the light, just beautiful. So yeah, overall hip ankle assemblies. This clip would plug into that hole and would attach the foot to the leg. We got our marking sheet. Like the last one, we got sets of self-adhesive stickers and our water slides. I don't see any foil-backed stickers anywhere in here. Oh wait, there they are. Yeah, there's a set of foil-backed stickers in there as well, for like your eyes and sensors and whatnot. I wish I could read Japanese, because I have no idea. I'm guessing BandaiHobby.net enquête is French for like survey, so I'm guessing this is a survey request. But since it's in Japanese, I won't be able to do it. And the instructions, just a copy of the box art, and a lot of breakdown for how this thing goes together, starting with basically breaking it down in order. So first step, nose, head, body, wing, arm, leg, weapons. I don't seem to have any parts callouts. That's curious. The front page has always been parts callout. And, oh, there it is. Yeah, parts callouts on the last page. That's really odd. I've never seen that in the Bandai kit before. Yeah, it's always the first page, the splash page is always the parts callouts. And oh yeah, there. Now you can, that line art, you can see that that silhouette, very very slick. So as it said, assembly begins with the nose, and it's got some options. It says you can build with the single seat or the dual seat. This one is opting for the dual seat configuration right out of the box, it appears. So yeah, there might be like a separate instruction somewhere on later on for swapping it. Head, pretty simple, only a couple of steps, not too complicated. Then moving on to the body, a lot of fiddly mechanical stuff, and there's one of those pins. I think that would be one of the smaller ones. Assembly continues, moving on to the wing assembly, and yeah, there's another pin necessary for the wing assembly, and then yeah, continuing on to the arms, and arms are pretty standard, legs are pretty standard. Overall assembly is, most of the complicated stuff is in the torso. Always love this part. So yeah, there's your pilot, Hayate Immelmann, your the requisite pop idol, who in this show appears to be named Freya Vion. Guessing she's of Norwegian or Scandinavian descent. So yeah, you got your fighter mode, and then conversion to Gerwalk mode, and then conversion to Batroid mode, and then just some different shots of the different aircraft from the show and their pilots, and yeah. Moving on to the weapons assembly. This would be the gun pod from the looks of it, and then final assembly of the aircraft. So here you can see how the landing gear fits. I think the rear landing gear, I think there's only a couple of wheels that just poke out just a little bit. Yeah, you can see there's not really a full-on landing gear. Like the whole door opens up and there's a wheel in the door, and that becomes the landing gear. So that's an interesting design. And finally getting on into the last third, which is just the transformation. And it appears this one actually has some locks in it. You can see there it says to disengage the wing from the leg, so hopefully these will be a little more stable than the VF-25 was. Continuing on, you got your Gerwalk mode complete. The way the hand transforms, it looks like the hand actually folds inside the arm, which, you know, cool for like a transforming robot toy or model kit, but not exactly practical in the real world sense, in that it leaves you with a completely hollow arm. But overall, looks cool. Gerwalk mode looks really neat. It's got that weapons pod slung up over its back, and the different fins on the wings, like the rudders and stabilizers and wings, come together to form a really neat aesthetic. I really like the way that looks. And then finally, transformation into Batroid mode from Gerwalk mode. Looks pretty elaborate, but probably nothing I can't handle. And then, yeah, finally attachment of weapons and posing and attachment to an action base and whatnot. And yeah, that's that piece I mentioned that I figured was probably the action base adapter. As I said, there's the parts call-out sheet, and then last 2 pages are your marking and paint guide. And now that that's out of the way, we'll move on to the optional super parts. Box art is much more bland, just kind of a wireframe of the aircraft with the attached super parts. Not really much to speak of, so I won't go into a lot of detail. Just explains what the different armor parts are, and just some photos of the assembled model. I was about to say we got a little more of that gold, but this one looks to be a little bit darker, more of almost a browny gold, kind of a bronze than the other, which was more of a yellow. Looks real nice though. The inside of the engine bells, not quite as fancy, funky, detailed as on the the VF-25 that we looked at the other day, but they still look really cool. There is some neat detail in there. You probably can't really see with the bad lighting, and also bad focus. Focus. There we go. Yeah, there's some ribbing and textural detail in there. It looks pretty neat. Otherwise, we got armor plate for what would be the chest in Batroid mode. I'm guessing for the shins, and then a lot of other thrusters, like just a ton of little attitude control and maneuvering thrusters, and your rack of missiles, some additional armor parts for probably the wings, or for the arms maybe. This release is explicitly color matched for Hayate's aircraft, so you can see the blue is the same shade. So I'm guessing they probably did that on purpose so that they'll compel you to buy multiple of the same set in different colors, so Bandai can make more money off of the same exact model kit. Another chest armor plate. I'm guessing the gray one fits over top of this. and then the whole thing fits over the torso. These would be for the fast pack boosters, maybe for the thighs. Yeah, armor detail is pretty simple. It's not quite as layered or fancy as on the other one, but that could just be where these parts go. They could be just a little simpler based on where they're attached in when they're assembled. Some more stuff. I don't know where most of this stuff goes. I'm guessing more stuff for like the midsection maybe to protect the cockpit. These probably go on the legs somewhere. I don't have a clue what these are for. Probably for somewhere on the underside. I think these would fit. Yeah, these would fit with these, but I don't know where they go on the aircraft. Some more light gray armor parts. This would be the missile pods. They probably have a one of these blue parts is probably the hatch for these missile pods, if I had to guess. But I can't quite identify them. But yeah, the very simple, just like blocks of armor with rivet holes in them. So the idea being that each of these blocks, when they get damaged, could just be removed and replaced very quickly. Okay, this keeps getting curiouser and curiouser. We have another pair of cockpit halves. And I do not understand what the story is with these. I mean, these might be not even cockpit parts. These could be legs for all I know. In fact, that's probably likely. I'm probably just a schmuck, and I thought that these on the other kit were cockpit parts, because they look like cockpit parts, but this could very easily be a landing gear bay. Just as easily as it could be a nose cone part. So I'm going to change my story. These are leg parts. Interesting that they would include, like this appears to be like a complete new set of hip and leg outer armor parts for this thing. So I'm guessing that these armor parts completely redefine a lot of how this thing goes together, because yeah, you've got your locators for the different armor parts. That's probably what these are as well. So they snap the armor directly onto the leg much more solidly than some of the other super mode Valkyries and variable fighters I've built over the years from like Hasegawa, which have very tenuous armor attachment points. And last up, we've got boosters, yeah, so these would be like the main boosters. They would lock in, I guess, with these hard points onto the wings and upper fuselage area. Rear engine part looks really nice, lots of detail in there, but it doesn't appear that they can move, unlike the VF-25, which each of the large thrusters were on ball joints. So that's kind of a disappointment that they're just kind of fixed in place. But yeah, got some. I guess these all fit together. They're probably armor parts for the back. Kind of fit just over the engines. In fact, yeah, that'd be these ones right here. So these would be the large ones we just looked at, and these would be the smaller ones. Where they would end up in Batroid mode, I'm not sure, but yeah. Finally, we're getting though into some stuff that has some neat detail on it. But overall, kind of the armor and fast pack detail is much simpler than it was on the VF-25. And we got our marking sheets, same as before, stickers, water slides, and instructions. Much shorter than the last one. You got your parts call out at the front, as is expected. Looks like this whole thing has to be disassembled pretty seriously, or at least built around the armor parts as you're assembling it. So, yeah, it's a little more complicated than just snapping the armor on once the thing is assembled, like a typical, like any typical Valkyrie or variable fighter I've built before. So, yeah, each of the new parts is well identified by, SD, SC, SF, S being for super, and then F being the runner number itself. So, yeah, lot of really funky modification going into this thing. So yeah, I'm a little bit disappointed actually, because I thought that I'd be able to swap the armor off and display it as a standard form very easily. But yeah, apparently that's not possible. So now I'm gonna have to get another one. Damn it. Center splash page. Okay, so yeah, here you can see how it all fits together. There's those missile pods I mentioned with the blue doors that pop open. Your fast packs, the primary boosters, and then the secondary boosters, and then there's just a ton of little thrusters all over the place. And tons of extra little armor that just attaches here and there all over it. So lots on the legs. That's what those are. Those were for like forearm gauntlet shields. Yeah, I was trying to figure out what those could have been. But yeah, they just mount on the arms, I guess. And I guess they detach and fit under the wing. You can see right there, they probably have to detach from the arms when you transform it. Bottom section, same pretty much as on the last one. Assembly continues, finishing up the legs, and assembly of the boosters, and final attachment of everything, and then you got your transformation. Looks like everything has to be detached when you transform it. Though possibly not, at least not for Gearwalk mode. Because, I mean, they would all stay in the same place, but it's calling for you to take them off. Probably just so that they don't, like, pop off and fly across the room. And then your transformation into Batroid mode. Again, it's telling you to take all the armor parts off and then reattach it at the end, blah, blah, blah. And then your paint and marking guide at the back.
So there's things about this thing that make it definitely more advanced than the VF-25. It looks like it's going to be a lot more stable. And the overall silhouette of it, I like a lot more. Being that it's, you know, close to 10 years more advanced in terms of engineering, I think is going to make it a lot more stable and a lot less fiddly. But overall, there's a couple of things I'm disappointed about. I'm kind of bummed that the armor detail is a little less chunky than on the Messiah. I really liked the thick, layered, chunky, ablative armor style of that thing versus this one, which just looks like it's, you know, mostly single plates just applied over the existing model. Not to mention, I'm especially disappointed that it can't be converted back. You know, you can't just pop all the armor off and have yourself a pristine standard form VF-31. You know, you'd have to strip it down to the bone and rebuild it from the ground up to convert it back to that form. So yeah, that seems like it's quite the scheme on Bandai's part to get you to buy more kits. And these aren't cheap. I don't remember exactly what I paid for them. I got them on Hobby Link Japan, but I think I paid probably about 6,000 or 7,000 yen for the base kit. Maybe not quite that much, but probably at least 5,000 yen for the base kit and probably another 1,500 to 2,000 for the armor set. And, you know, regardless, I'm excited to build it. And I will build it in super mode because I have the super parts. But, you know, I would have been really a lot happier if it would have been convertible back and forth. And then there's my weird confusion with the cockpit parts, which I think I've managed to figure out. That, yeah, those the two symmetrical, what I thought were cockpit parts, are actually parts for the leg. But yeah, it just that had me super confused. But yeah, I think I got it figured out. But overall, I'm excited. It's a neat looking kit. I think it's going to be a fun build. Hopefully, it's not as fiddly and a lot more stable than the VF-21 or 25. But we'll see. Now, you know, I'll just cross my fingers and hope that someday Bandai does the fighters from Macross Plus, because I would love to get my hands on a transformable YF-19 and 21. Because while I do have them in 72nd scale, or I have the 48th scale 19 and the 72nd scale 21, though that one's unbuilt, I would love to have them as transformable models, because that would be just, oof, I would be so excited. Anyway, I'm debating what kit I want to do tomorrow, because I promised I would do the Tomcat, the new Tamiya F14, but I did get the Tall Geese 3 in the mail. I kind of want to do that one next and save the F14, because that one's more of like that one's more of an event. That thing is, you know, it's a brand new kit of an iconic aircraft, whereas the Tall Geese is just another release of the same kit that I've already bought and reviewed twice. So I kind of want to do. I can't decide which one I want to do next. But yeah, I kind of want to finish off strong. So I think I'm gonna finish off with the F14. So yeah, stay tuned for hopefully tomorrow. Fingers are crossed that I can get it up tomorrow. We're gonna take a look at the Tall Geese 3. And since I've already reviewed the 1 and 2, this one's going to be pretty quick. I won't go into too much detail, mostly just covering the differences in the 3 different versions of the Tall Geese and this one's new weapons. Because this one's the most different. But we'll take a look at that tomorrow. So do stay tuned. Thank you everyone out there for watching, and happy modeling.